Hey, I like it when it's already kind of set up. It's close.
Oh my god, this angle has all my mess on my table.
Oh no. Hey, I can I
No.
can I can zoom in on you if you like.
Oh, it's okay. That's fine. This is good. This is okay. I'm a messy person.
That's okay. We don't mind. Why am I not getting? Oh, because it's not the right one. All right, let's click on that so we can get the right one. All right, guys, we're just going to finish setting up so that we can see our student and our collaborator, BumBobaBee. Now, how do you pronounce
Or,
it?
or just boba. Boba's okay.
Boba, like Boba Fett?
Or bubble tea, bubble tea. But boba fett works too. Boba's okay. Yeah. Is also
Okay.
how you pronounce it.
All right. So let's see. I think okay. Discord voice Mackie. I don't know. Oh, you're telling Mackie. All right. So is it loud enough, or does she need to turn up her volume, guys? Hey, 3X. All right. Did you get to create a Lee Chess account?
Oh crap, not yet. Sorry about
You have all these tasks to do. I know it's a pain. Boba works. I like Bumblebee.
that. Bumblebee's okay too.
We could just do B. So I
Yeah.
usually, when I have a collaborator or especially a student, but a collaborator also, anybody on stream with me, we get to know you a little bit so my viewers can know who you are. And we can do a shout out, of course. We're going to do more than once today. So, but if, uh-oh, unrecognized command because I did it wrong. I love it when I mess up my own
Oh,
commands.
don't worry. You don't have to.
So, while you're efforting to get into Lee chess, can you tell us a little bit about your chess journey? When did you start playing chess?
Well, first, thanks for the shout out. When when I first played chess, I didn't have anything to do. Basically, my mom got me a CD-ROM with a chess player. A chess master 3000 and how to learn how to type. So I'm like, I don't want to learn how to type. I just want to play chess or something. I didn't have much to do, so started out like maybe around 4 or 5 years old. No one taught me to play chess, so the computer taught me. I guess I just kept making mistakes. I don't know what's going on. I'm just moving around the chess pieces. Then I just eventually played casually during junior high, elementary, and then high school is probably the last time. High school is like rare because no one really plays chess in my high school, so I didn't really. I guess overall, not very experienced player. I
Okay.
like chess. It's nice.
Okay. And so you said around four you started playing with Chess Master 3000?
4 or 5 years old. It's been too long. So even when well, I know how to play chess, right? Like kind of okay, but I don't know the terms, what a gambit is. I mean, Sicilian. I don't know what they are. I just know how to move the chess pieces.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to work on a little bit of that. I'm not big on memorizing names of openings and other things. I just want you to have useful knowledge versus, academic names. So no worries about that at all. So, what I was going to, oh, you also stream other things on your stream though, besides chess. Like I saw you doing some kind of scary thing the other night.
Yeah, it was Phasmophobia, and sometimes I played Dead by Daylight. I'm a gamer. I mean, I'm getting back to the gamer phase.
Okay. When did you start
So
streaming?
right after I severed my ties with my last job, I used to work in a hotel, but it just got too toxic. I had to go. I'm like, I
Okay.
can't deal with that anymore.
Oh, reminder, my stream is family friendly, so I know it's tough for you. I visited your streams and I'm like, oh, don't listen. No, so yeah, we try to keep it very clean. If you mess up, I just won't be able to post this on YouTube.
Oh, you posting on YouTube? Cool.
Yeah, I usually so one of the things I do with my streams is I take especially the educational ones, and I will clip them, not a little tiny clip, but I'll just get rid of, stuff at the beginning and stuff at the end. Like I don't have them sit through a 2 minute preview on a YouTube's capture of it. But pretty much everything else in the middle I throw onto YouTube, and so other people can watch it after the fact. It's easier than sometimes finding the VODs.
Okay. Well, I mean, don't worry. I'm not gonna like really curse much or say anything inappropriate because I'm
We'll
not playing
see.
horror. I will see. Okay. Okay.
What
Well, I
happened?
don't really have to try. It's just we're not playing a horror game. I think we'll be
Okay.
fine.
Okay, because I usually have a routine for students. I tweak it all the time. I try to tailor it to your needs. But one consistent thing we do a lot of times is after we cover a principle, I'll usually have you play a couple of games. And that's usually where my students may, start getting too excited or upset, and that's where they forget that they're on stream. So that's why I said we'll see. But maybe you'll destroy everybody in your games, and you'll be so happy you won't have any negative vibes.
No negative vibes.
I'm thinking
No
of
negative.
Kelly's Heroes with I don't know if you ever saw it. That's a very old war movie, World War II time frame with Clint Eastwood and a whole bunch of. It was one of those ensemble casts with tons of well-known actors, and one of them would say he was a tank driver, and he would say to his partner, the guy in the tank with him that works with him, he goes, it's got to stop with the negative vibes, Moriarty. No more negative vibes. You're killing me with your negative vibes. Anyway, sorry.
World War II. That's pretty funny.
That's
I
totally,
actually like World War II history.
yeah. World War II was, wow. Yeah, that was an interesting and awesome. Anyway, so have you created your account yet? Yes, you have. All right. So one of the things that you can do, and I'm going to share, I'm going to go full screen so everybody can see it. Now you might not be, but if you're watching, then hopefully you can see it also. So I can search on BumBobaBee, and there we go, Boba, and I find you. And then if I hover over you, now first of all, I could just click on you, and I see, oh, brand new, no information, and that's fine. You can, of course, update later or do nothing, because if you only use it for studies, it doesn't matter. By the way, it's totally free, all the time free. So feel free to use it for collecting games. I'll tell you a really nice other use for it is, let's say you want to play serious chess, but you don't want to use your chess.com account because you use that for streaming. So you might want to use another account. Rather than create another chess.com account with another email, you could just go over here and you play in lead chess. It's a different rating, so it never would affect your other rating. So a lot of streamers try to, if they want to get their rating up to a certain amount just for their own, you know, self-esteem, a lot of times they'll create a new account in one of the other of the two and just play in that one series games, but then they stream using the other. But anyway, first thing I'm going to do is follow you. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to a study, and I'm going to show you how to get to that study. And we have two studies I'm inviting you to, actually. And studies is probably the main reason that I use Lichess. I like both. I've used both. I play on both. But Lichess I find exceptional for teaching purposes, and especially their use of studies, which you are not limited on. I can have as many as I want. It's kind of scary how many I can have. And in them, let's make you hello. Trying to make you a collaborator. There we go. A contributor. All right, so let me show you how you get there. So if you're in Lead Chess, if you go to the Learn, you have headers up top. If you go to Learn, the fourth one down is Study. You with me? Can you click on Study? Fourth one down under Learn.
Oh, something happened.
Yeah, I mean, you never use it, but I'm trying to help you navigate it. All right, so the top menu says Play, Puzzles, Learn, Watch, Community, and Tools.
Someone randomly challenged me, and
Yeah, somebody's challenging you because it's either Jane's or someone else, or 3x maybe, who knows, but somebody's is just ignore them for now, please.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, so go over to the left. You see the big Lee chest. Okay, good 3x. He says it wasn't him. Leechest.org and go to play puzzles, and then you'll see learn as the third one over. And then scroll down to study. If you hover on learn, you'll see the chess basics, practice, coordinates, study, coaches, and classes. You're muted, or for some other reason I couldn't hear you.
Oh, am I?
Nope, now you're good. I saw your lips moving. Maybe you weren't speaking.
Oh,
Okay, James didn't challenge you either. So, yes, you just got a random challenge. But um, did you find study under learn yet? Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm right there. Nancy, London, Crazy Night Attack.
Okay, so click on study. After you click on study, yep, you see anti-London is the first one. Good. On the left-hand side, you'll see studies I contribute to. There'll be three, the third one down. Click on that. You'll only find 2 studies listed. Awesome. Those are the ones I invited you to. Now, you could create your own studies later, but those are the ones I invited you to. So let's start off with the maybe just relaxing. Let's do the Bumblebee one. And if your bottom left side, underneath the chessboard, under the A1 square, you should see a sync icon, and it should have a green check mark. It defaults to that, so it should be that.
Yeah, it's default.
All right, so now you see a board. This is an analysis board. There's no clock. There's no timer going to be working with it. But the nice thing is you could draw arrows just like you do in chess.com. The only arrow that this one misses, by the way, is the knight doesn't have the left turn and right turn arrows, which are really cool in chess.com. These you have to like just draw it on an angle. You could see the arrows I draw. So a nicety about using a study is that if we're having a conversation, I ask you, let's say white moves here, black moves here, and let's just, for argument's sake, we get this move in and we get this move in. All right. Now, white, and you could pick the knight, can develop, right? Either knight can now move, and we call that development. Which would be the best square for the G2 knight? I mean, G1 knight, the G knight. What would be the best square for development?
This one. G, G to F3. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just answering one of my first-time chatters and had to ban him. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. He was spamming me, telling me, "Oh, right. So you think that's the best square for the knight?"
Yeah,
Okay. Why?
because in case if his queen pawn moves up, maybe. Well, actually, no. Sorry. Yeah, in case if that moves up, maybe I attack the king's pawn, or maybe if I change my mind with my own pawn, moving that up to attack his pawn, possibly.
Okay. Have you ever considered over here?
I don't feel very comfortable putting the knight there sometimes, just because it just doesn't seem very practical. It doesn't. And what if the bishop attacks the knight and then you have to use your pawn to take? Yeah, the bishop. Yeah, it kind of ruins the structure, the pawn structure. I don't feel comfortable with that.
Awesome. We're going to come back and talk pawn structure in a second. But right now, I'm kind of feeling out your knowledge base because I don't know where you are, right? So I like doing it this way. I think we'll see. Like I said, I kind of change it depending on each student. Okay. So we'll talk about pawn structures definitely. How about here?
Um, it's not too bad.
That's okay square also, you think?
It's okay. Really, but there's no point for this scenario. It doesn't seem like it for this scenario because well, I think the other option being F3 is a better option just because
Just because.
there's
Okay.
two
So
pieces.
I'm going to
There's
tell you
three.
why you're right, or you're going to help me figure out why you're right, and you'll see why it's important for any aspect at any time.
Well, I think it's because you're limiting the other pieces from moving, such as the bishop, the queen. It's
Very
sure. I
good.
mean, you might be protecting the queen, queen to pawn. I'm sorry, the pawn queen. Blah, blah, sorry, you know that pawn, our queen's pawn, moving out one space. You only. I mean, it's very limited moves. If you use that knight, it's just not very practical.
Very good. All right. So let me talk about these three square. Oh, by the way, so if this is the best square, and you had these other two, which one was the worst square for the first
I'm
move?
sorry, it's a worse square.
Which one is the worst square for the first move?
You talking about?
Of these three, oh no, I'm saying of
Sorry,
these
sorry.
three squares,
Okay.
you said this one was the best square, the blue square, right?
Oh, okay. I guess we. Sorry. Okay.
Which one would be the
Um,
worst square if that's the best square?
I would say the one to the right, like moving it to H3.
All right,
Ruining, yeah, because you're ruining the structure. That's the worst thing to do. In the long run, it will just
gotcha.
sabotage your own
Let's do
game.
this. Let's do this just to take away that. I'm just going to make random moves. Okay, so now even if he couldn't take you, see now you don't have to worry about ruining your pawn structure. I don't want you getting
Okay.
focused on that.
Okay.
Is that still a bad square?
Well, there's nothing to it. I mean, you're being blocked. The pawn is blocking that. You're not really able to utilize the knight at that point. And even if you were to protect the bishop, the bishop moving up here, am I able to move this? Okay. Well, if you move the bishop to attack the queen, the opponent's bishop pawn could block it, and then that's a failed attempt to attack, and you're gonna have to waste more of your moves
So don't
to
forget,
not
you
get.
can actually draw. You could draw circles and arrows if you want when you're
Oh,
explaining. And not only will I see it, but the stream will see it.
I don't think I'm able to do it. So strange.
Right click
Oh, there
and
you go.
yeah,
Circles.
and if you right click, you can make arrows. And if you do Control Alt or Shift, you could change the color of those arrows or circles. It's pretty much same
Yeah,
as
that's
chess.com.
the first time using this. Yeah, thanks. I'm learning. But yeah, moving the bishop here with this one
Uh huh.
to here
Yeah.
and trying to attack the queen, but then this could come down here
Awesome.
and block and attack the bishop. It just doesn't make sense. It's like waste of moves, basically.
Okay, so this helped me a whole lot get better understanding of where you're at. Let me give you an answer to why this. You are correct. This is the worst square. I'm sorry, I want that one red. That's the worst square, and that's the best square, and that's second best or second worst, depending on how you want to look at it. So this is your worst square because you were right. One, if it could be taken immediately, your pawns could be weaker. But just by position, it's worse because these are all the squares that knight can attack.
Mm-hmm.
So he only hits 4 squares. And not only is he only hitting 4 squares, these are considered our center squares, which are critical for helping us move our piece, our armies, right? World War II, we were talking about a little bit because of Kelly's Heroes. If I want to get my army over here and I want to be able to go through the center because I own it, I control it, right? So I want that knight hitting preferably the center squares and preferably squares on my opponent's side. So from here, my knight only hits 4 squares and none of them are center squares. Not a one. All right. The second best square for the knight is here, and he hits how many squares?
attacking the other knight too.
Forget about the other knight for the moment. I just want you to think about this guy's choice of square.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I tell you forget about the other knight, the same way as in I didn't want you to overthink about this bishop taking you, is because we're talking about where is the knight best positioned, where does he have the most power and influence, and this knight could move, right? Just like this bishop moved. So this square is bad if that bishop is there or not, because he's on the rim. In fact, there's an axiom or a saying, knights on the rim are mighty grim. It's not mine, it's an old one. It's an oldie but a goldie. So yeah, we don't want, oh, Wolfman Jack just came to me for some reason. I don't know if you know him. I'm really old. Anyway, so yeah, this one only attacks 4 squares. So how many squares do we attack from this location?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, and it doesn't matter if there's something on the square or not. We are attacking or controlling a square. Now, if there's something on it, you could say, yeah, and he's protecting the knight, he's protecting the bishop. And if there was a pawn here, then you could say he was attacking the pawn. But more accurately, he is hitting 6 squares. How many are center squares?
How many have center squares?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry, I'm starting to blank out. Yeah, 4.
But how many of the how many squares that he's hitting from here are center squares?
Well, just 1.
1. Very good. 1. And none of the squares on my opponent's side of the board.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't as good as this. It's better than here. Because even though this hits 2 squares on one on my opponent's side of the board, it's only 1 there, and I only have 4 total. Here I get 6. So if we go to the best square, can you circle all the spots he's hitting? I know you can, but I just want you to be more involved. Keep going, get them all. I want to see all the squares he's hitting. Those are the 2 center squares.
Only 2 yeah, center squares.
Excellent. So one quick thing to notice, no matter where we put the knight, here, here, or here, notice the knight is always in turn attacking the square he came from. Just a nicety to remember. But also notice that we started off on a dark square hitting white squares, right? Because we had this square, this square, this square to choose from. So we went from dark, that we're attacking light squares, and now that we're on a light square, we're attacking dark squares. So I know you know that, but again, it's just a nice thing to remember that knights change color every time they move. All right, we are hitting 2 center squares. We are hitting our maximum number of squares we can hit. 8 squares. Awesome. So this is by far, out of the 3 choices you have on your first move for your knight, as a general rule, this is the best square for your knight. All right. So I was listening and I'm hearing, so I'm trying to get a feel without. So I do have an assessment, which you can take and which you are going to take for me, right, at some point. I think I have. I'm going to check if I have it as a. Nope, I don't have it as a Nightbot command, but it does pop up and it should come up. I put it on. So anyone can take the assessment. It's a self-assessment, and it has 3 major components. It has what do you know? So like in this case, well, let's do en passant. You know what en passant is, right? Okay. So you can know what en passant is, but you might not understand when you would do it, right? Or when it would be useful to you. And then you might, even if you understand when you should do it, when it's a good idea to do it, when you play an actual game, you might not take en passant. You might forget, you might get flustered, you might not do it. So there's 3 levels of learning that I deal with. One is, do you have the knowledge? So in this case, do you know which square is the best square for the knight? And we say, yep, you know it. We're happy. And I say, great. Do you understand why it's the best square? So you had talked about, well, it wasn't doing much over here. It could be taken. Over here, I didn't feel like it was doing as much. And really, the main reason is that it has more scope, right? It hits more squares. It's moving towards the center. By the way, the more I can get this knight into the center, the more squares we're going to hit. So ignore the fact that I would lose a pawn right now. Ignore that fact. This knight on the fifth rank, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, our fifth rank hits, look at these beautiful squares that knight is hitting. And you can imagine a queen here, bishop here, you know, pieces in different places. That knight is really hitting. And look at all these beautiful squares in my opponent's area. That's a powerful knight. A knight on the fifth and the sixth ranks are much more powerful than on the fourth and the third ranks. Much more powerful than a knight on the second or the first ranks. So as your knight gets further up the board, he becomes more powerful until he gets to the seventh or the eighth rank, where he actually starts getting less power. So right there, he's like doing great. And I'm just going to allow me to cheat and just put this knight anywhere we want. And you'll see now the scope of the knight is less. Now, here might be very useful if I'm forking a queen and a king, right? That's a good thing. But otherwise, yeah, he's getting less and less squares. And so he's not as powerful. And so let's put him on one more square. If I put him on the eighth rank, it's just as if he was playing on our first rank, where he gets only 4 squares to hit. And the knight in the corner is really bad, besides the fact that he could be eaten by a king, right? If I had my knight where this rook is, my king would be here. Your knight can't even get out because he'd only have 2 squares. So the knights are better towards the center. So back to the story, I'm saying is that if I asked you which one is the best square, you'd know that. If I ask you why it's the best square, now I feel like she's got that down pat. The last part of learning is, do you apply it? So if we go look at your games, do you put your knights in bad squares? And you don't, right? Because you were like, why would I do that? So I have faith that you probably apply this knowledge already without the other part, the understanding of why it was the best square, but I think you intuitively put it in the best squares. Cool beans. So those are the 3 tools I like to use for that purpose. Understanding all 3. The other thing I will tell you, Boba, is that I teach by principles rather, like I don't like you memorizing moves. So you'll never have me go, hey, here's a trick you can use in this opening. Memorize it. Let's go over it 5 times, and oh, great, now go use it. I don't teach that way. I teach by basic principles, because principles are, 1, easier to understand, easier to remember, and if you can apply those principles, your game will get better, and it doesn't matter the situation. That's why players that play chess 960, where the pieces are randomly organized on the back ranks, the better players don't care, right? Because they're not stuck with just knowing an opening and tricks and traps. They're understanding the principles behind the way that chess is played. Jane's is like all over it. She says tricks are useless. All right. So, all right, let's get you more involved here for a sec. We have another, if you go back to your studies, you'll find studies that you contribute to again, and you'll find another one, which I lost, but you should have only one other one that you're invited to already. Teaching chess class. Is that the one I'm looking for? Yes, it is. All right. We're going to go through a few fun games together. I'm going to put on some music in the back, just softly in the background. Let's play some games. And let's talk through these games. There's no clock. No clock. Right? All right. So you can be white. And let's play the first one. It's pawns plus king. You win by checkmate. Go for it.
Interesting. Unknown territory, so I'm going to go with something more defensive.
Great. And you said this is unknown territory. Why is it unknown territory? Because you never played this version?
Never.
Right, but it's chess, isn't it?
It is chess, yeah.
All right. Feel free to ask questions. I'm not trying to beat you in this game. I'm trying to teach you. So feel free to ask any questions that come to mind. Do, 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 do. Oh, you had a free pawn. You didn't want it. Okay.
Yeah, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah, you didn't want the free pawn.
I blame my caffeine intake right now. I'm so drowsy from this.
Fair enough. Caffeine can be a problem sometimes. Let's go here.
That was most definitely a free pawn. What was I thinking?
I don't know. I left it for you. You didn't seem to want it.
I think my problem in chess is more like I'm too impulsive. Sometimes I can be very absent-minded.
Oh, that would be a problem.
Yep. Oh, okay. Well, your king is moving around, so I don't want your king to be crossing over here. Ooh. Okay. Hey, G.
All right, we have some takes. There are takes being made.
Dangerous. Ooh, that's not good.
All right, I'm thinking we have a draw on this one. What do you think?
I'm thinking, what about your pawn all the way to your left
Yeah, see,
side?
I can get the it could give me back the opposition, which we have right here. But then it doesn't really matter because I can't break through and you can't break through.
That's true.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. All right. By the way, if you now turn on the engine because we're in an analysis board, we can use the engine. You'll see it does say we're dead equal. All right. So no worries there. Good job. Good first game. All right. Um, do you know how this one goes?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
It's like
You got dragged along to the next study, right?
yeah, the
Okay, go ahead.
king and king with one pawn.
Uh-huh. Go ahead. You can be white.
Ooh, this reminds me of yesterday's tournament. My endgames could be weak. What I think.
So I like to actually teach endgames. When I start, if you notice, we're starting with chess, kings, and pawns. And I love teaching with chess, kings, and pawns because if you, wouldn't it be frustrating to know you have a king and a pawn against a king? You should win and you draw it. So for me, endgames are like the beginning, right? I want to start you off with endgames so that you know when you should trade, how you to trade, how you should move on. So what's the outcome of this one?
This would look like a
Draw? You can play it out. Go ahead.
not not a good position. It's like it's just gonna keep going back and forth. Possibly, we'll see. Darn.
And it's a draw. That's stalemate. Okay. Let me play white. You have black.
Ooh, okay, okay. Oh my god. Oh, I'm learning.
Good.
Good trick.
All right. You play white. Oops, sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Sorry, my bad. I was trying to get rid of stuff so it doesn't confuse and I messed up. Okay, go ahead. You play white.
Back down. Yeah. Yeah. Like totally brain farted there.
Okay, you
Okay.
agree that that was a mistake? Let's go back to here
Yeah.
then. Okay, go.
I messed up like I think the first can I do this all over again?
Of course.
Thanks.
Hey, I'm here for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, do you know what the concept that we're playing with is?
You're mirroring my move for this
No,
game.
no.
So
It's
get
called
me to find
opposition.
opposition.
And we'll discuss it in about 5 seconds or 2 minutes. But anyway, opposition is and right there, I think we had threefold repetition, but we don't care because right, we're learning. We'll let you have tenfold repetition if you like.
I lost a punch like that. Oops. It's even worse.
All right, so opposition is anytime you create an odd number of squares between kings. Odd number of squares between kings. There are 8 squares on the chessboard. If this pawn were not here, let's say we moved here and we moved here, how many squares are between us?
Right between us? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 6. Yeah,
How many?
6. 1,
6.
2, 3,
Good.
5, 6.
So whoever creates an odd number of squares, I just created an odd number of squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. is said to have the opposition. So white has the opposition in this case. Where this comes in importance is when you get to direct opposition, which means you only have one square between you. And in a straight line, hopefully. That's direct opposition. And direct opposition means that if there's no other pieces on the board, whoever created the opposition, white did, white has the opposition, black has to give way. Right? Black cannot go forward. And again, this is like, oh, I know black can't go forward because the king would, can't put yourself in check. But because he can't go forward, he has to go backwards or sideways. When he goes backwards, we can flank the king. So if the contest was, who can black keep white from getting to this square or this square, right? Black, I don't want black. Black should say, white, you cannot get your king to either one of these squares ever. Could I do that? And opposition allows you to do that. So because of opposition, white having it, white gets to side step. And if you try, I can take the opposition again. You got to go to the side again. I can go here. I can take the opposition. And you could go to either side. But then guess what? I got to one of those two squares. Now, in this scenario, we want to get the pawn here. So I want my king to be here or here at some point so I can usher that pawn down. So that's the idea, is that I need to use opposition to push this king away so that I can get to where I want to be. So I believe this was the last one we just did. Okay. So this one I did a little trick. Versus I didn't come forward. I went sideways, creating opposition. So I was tricky. I'm sorry. It wasn't the one I did. I thought it was. Oh, yeah, it's in here. Here it is.
Yeah. Consciously. I don't know.
That's okay. So here I sneakily got the opposition. But I still don't win. I still lose. And I will lose because you have a way to gain back the opposition with this pawn. So we want to save this pawn move when we get into a Zugzwang or when we get into the fact that black has the opposition. So right now black stole the opposition and you did fine. You moved in front of the pawn. That's fine. Notice 3 squares. Black has the opposition. He made it odd number. And then black took the direct opposition away from white. And if this pawn were right here, then that king would have to give way. But because the pawn isn't there, you can actually move the pawn. Now it's black's turn, which means that white has the opposition. Whoever has the move, right, does not have the opposition. So black now has to move and give way. So let's say black gives way. White now can flank. Now the general rule for stopping a pawn, because you may be on the losing side of this proposition where black's only hope is to draw, is to stay in front of the pawn with your king as close to the pawn as you can get. And if you can't, we also are happy to take the opposition when we can. All right, so when white goes here, I'm not going to go over here. I just lose very quickly. I lose very quickly. I need to stay in front of the pawn if I can't do direct opposition. By the way, this is indirect opposition. It's on the side. Unfortunately, it doesn't help because the pawn's going past us. So we need direct opposition. So but I can't get opposition, so I'm going to stay in front of the pawn. If white makes the mistake of pushing the pawn, I just grab the opposition and it's a draw. Automatically a draw. If you go here, it's a draw. Make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
All right, let's try it one more time. You have white. Let's do it. You got this.
Okay.
Let me get rid of these previous. There we go. I don't want to have anything in your way. So you went here and I went here. Okay, your turn.
Damn. What am I thinking? Can we start this again? Oh my god. Alright.
So I'm from New York originally, Boba. So we tease people. So I got to tease you. You said I'll have no problem with chess. I won't. Yeah, you're already giving me language issues. Why? Because you're frustrated with yourself. I told you.
I might have subconsciously cursed. I cursed.
Remember the rule. You need to stay. You need to grab the opposition, which you have right. You do not have the opposition. You need to gain the opposition. Does that gain you the opposition?
This is not. This is most definitely not.
I still have it. I created an odd number of squares.
Oh god. And I just saw you do it, and I'm like, it just flew out of my head. Right here. No! Oh, oh. I messed up again.
Yeah. So black has the opposition. How can you get it back? Yes, you want the opposition. Yes.
It'll be okay. No, I think that's a mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake, just like that.
No, you didn't. You're good to go. Nope.
Nope.
Yes. I'm going to jump you to this screen.
Practice.
We'll go back. But I'm going to jump you to the screen because of the title. It's called the magic position. If you are on any of these these files, and you have a king and pawn against a king, and you can get this situation, it is an automatic win. Doesn't matter whose move it is. Right?
Okay.
So let's say black to move. You only have two choices, right? So black, I'm sorry, it's white to move. It actually cares. Always fascinates me. So let me make it black to move. And I'm going to do it by triangulation. Okay, black to move. So if black goes here, where does white go to win the game? Very good. And if black goes here, very good. All right, so now let's go back to where it's white to move. Where would you go if you were white? Because you win, as long as you don't make a mistake. Very good. I take the opposition. What do you do?
Probably should go back here.
Nope, you were there. If you go back there, aren't we in the same position? You do it.
Yeah,
You do it.
same thing,
You do it one.
right?
You get back to this position one more time. It's a draw. So no, you get to push the pawn, and you're saying to yourself, "But isn't this going to be a draw? It always happens." Watch the difference. We push the pawn, and I'm not saying what. I'm not saying check.
Oh, right. You can't, because you still have to move, and of course you can't put it here. So they'll move the king afterwards.
Where can the king go? Because he only has one legal square.
Oh, this. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this one.
And then where does white go?
Here.
Right. We don't queen, right? We don't let him take us. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're going to queen. So this is the magic position regardless of whose move it is. Now, you still need to know how to do it. You need to know if I go here and he goes here, I'm going to go here, right? Because when I go here, it's not check. It's not check. The not quite magical, this is a different one. I want to see the muggle position. Hold on. Where's my muggle position? I thought I had one called the muggle position. But we've been into it, I don't know how many times already. But if your king, if the pawn is in front of the king, instead of this way, then it's going to be a draw, pretty much no matter what you do. Okay, so if we're in this position, regardless of whose move it is, it's going to be a draw. Because if you go here, when you push the pawn, you're saying check. So I can go underneath the pawn. But if you were to push it when I'm already there, I have to leave. Right, so now this is a stalemate. So the magic position is what you finally achieved, right? You got to it. At some point you did. Let's see, when did we find that? Sorry. Oh, we're still in there? Okay, let's go back here. Yeah, this was just bad. Okay, let's delete that one. You're never going to run away from the pawn that much. So again, your job is to get in front of the pawn as white, stay in front of the pawn, keep pot position, and if you go to the side, you're only going one to the side for flanking purposes. All right, hopefully last time, go for it. You're white.
Okay.
So black has the opposition, right? Ooh, nice move, nice move. Very good.
Oh God.
Now you're still okay, and you're only okay because you're on the 6th rank. If you had made that mistake back here, it would have been a draw. But now because you're on the 6th rank and I have no way to go back, you're okay. But yeah, you shouldn't have. What we would have liked to have seen you do when I went here, instead of pushing the... What, did you push the pawn? No, you did here with your knight. It was the move before that, right? So here, you didn't need to push the pawn yet. You could have just said, I'll take the opposition back. And once you took the opposition back, I have to go left or right, and then you can say game over. Because now the pawn keeps you out of there, and it's easy, right? So that's a little easier. But what you did will work because this is the magic position. You still got back to the magic position. And as long as you're in the magic position, you get to win. So even if I go here, go ahead, finish it off.
I'm so brain dead right now. I gotta do this.
Because remember, there's no check.
Wait, let me move back a little. Oh my God, I went all the way back.
Yeah, go ahead, work through it. This is worth it for you to know. This is totally worth it for you to know.
I should definitely try this again. Just retry this.
Ah, you deviated, okay.
Is that bad? Is that bad? I'm telling you, I'm so brain dead today. I know the concept that you're telling me. It's registered for sure. Oh, go like that. That's the same mistake. That's so bad.
Yeah, but if you take the opposition, you're okay. Because you still have the opposition, luckily for you. All right, so let's back up. Now, you've learned a little bit. You know that this is the magic position if both kings are here. If you push here, all you have to do and think in your head is, if he goes here, I go here, and I did not say check, I win. So from here, you could say, can I push the pawn? All you have to figure out is if he goes this way, then you just push again, and king can't get back, right? Right? I mean, if I went this way, you're like, hey, thank you, game over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that one's easy. So you just have to say to yourself, if I push and he goes back, and I push again, that works because it's not check. So you can push the pawn at this point. But you can also do what you did, which is go back to here, right? And then now it's your move, though. And you're going to realize right now that, hey, I have to push the pawn because that's my only other choice. And now you get to push the pawn without check, and you win. All right,
Thank you
mate.
for
Go ahead
preparing.
and finish it off. Mate me.
Okay.
So if I want to last the longest possible, it's just a good thing to know also, right? If I want to last for the longest amount possible, I want to stay in the center if I can, which you're not letting me do. So that's a good thing. Exactly, 3x. Exactly.
Ooh, that's a stalemate. That would definitely
Very good. How else can you checkmate?
How else?
Mm-hmm. How else? That's two different choices. How many other choices are there? You did those two. Is there another one?
Like, I feel like any of the. I mean, this. Does that
Yes.
count? Really?
Bro, can I move? So remember, opposition means the king can't go towards the king at all. So yeah, if you put your queen anywhere along here, it's made except for right next to me where I can take you off. So any of these squares would have been made. All right, so let's go back for fun. And so you even said it. Oh man, I almost, I got to be careful. I almost stalemated, right?
Yep.
So let's say you turn that into a rook. Go ahead and checkmate me now.
I'm just gonna move the book apart. Oh, you know what? Oh, God. Okay. Alright. Alright, I need opposition. Okay.
Always TK.
CK's here. Oh my God. He's gonna laugh at me.
No, he won't.
I'm kidding. It's fine.
TK won't laugh. Oh, he says he gave you a crash course.
Kind of when you're jumping back to the center. I know. I'm trying to get you not like centered.
Okay, let me show you a way that you could have done it. All right, I'll play white. You play black. Go for it. This is the way I learned. There is another way. The chat will probably tell me, this isn't the best way. So notice I have the opposition as white, right? I mean, you actually have it, but we're in opposition. Black actually took the opposition, but it doesn't matter. So what happens when I take away that whole file and you don't have these guys? Guess what?
Back up.
Yeah, do you have a choice? You don't have a choice, do you?
Mhm.
Now, you could have at least tried to
Oh.
make it more interesting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, your turn. Now notice I didn't go straight at you. I could have taken the opposition, right? But in this case, it's different. I don't want to take the opposition. I want you to create the opposition because then I can go here and guess what? You have to back up again. So you're obliged by by taking the opposition, and guess what? Back you go. Now, again, I don't want to take the opposition because that'll take me more moves to checkmate you. So I'm going to go here so that if you come back, it's mate. So normally you go and try to eat my rook. And I take away more squares from your king. And now I got to protect the rook. Now, remember, I don't want to take the opposition. Because if I take the opposition, you just slide on by, right? Mm-hmm. So I need a waiting move. Remember, you needed a waiting move with the pawn to promote? I need a waiting move with my rook so that you are the one that creates the opposition. So now your best bet is to run away that way to last longer. And so I just take away another square because if you come back, it's mate. And if you come back, it's mate. And you had no choice, so it's mate. But the key to it, part of it is that when you are starting to come back to chase the rook again, I got to know that I'm going to go one more square. And what a lot of people, I don't know why, beginners do, is they'll move like here. And so then you move here and you're like, oh, I got to move the rook again. It's like, yeah, you have to move the rook again. But if I put it far enough away on this move, then you could just wait by giving a waiting move. Now notice that there was pretty much no chance of stalemate with a rook. Just a thought. If you ever get into this situation and you say, I know how to win this, and when you make that pawn into a queen, especially if you're really low on time, a rook is an easier way to mate if you remember to keep limiting using opposition. Opposition is such a great tool for you for chess. By the way, who wins in this one? So first of all, white's the only one with a chance to win, correct? All right. So can white force a win? Because we just did this one. Can white force a win here?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. We practice it. I think you could use a little more practice, but you see it. Can white force a win here?
There's a no.
You're saying no?
Think about this before I say. I would say it's definitely more difficult, but there's a chance.
All right, give it a shot. Go for it. You know the concept now, right? You want to get the opposition and stay in front of the pawn and use the pawn to get back the opposition. So now you lost the opposition. You want to move the pawn, not the king, to get back the opposition. There you go. And you could just keep pressing on. Beautiful. Good job. If your opponent backs straight up, go chase him like you did. Anytime in the middle of the board, that's the way to do it. So have you met Chess Wizard yet?
Chess Wiz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We played it.
All right, good. I'm going to tell you a story about Chess Wizard at the end of this game. At the end of this little game we're doing here.
It's a draw.
Yeah.
Way around this is it?
No. Even if you get to go here without check. So let's just I think let me do this for you. All right. So now even if you go here without check, remember you want to do it without check normally on any of these files. You want to do it without check. But even without check, the king can't get out. So the rook pawn is always a draw. Now, if the king can get here. So Chess Wizard was playing a game. He understood this concept. He was playing a game and he was losing. because his opponent, and I like to ask this question. Let me see if I can find it. Not what I want, not what I want, not what I want. I don't think I have it here. I'm sorry. But if I told you that you could have a, let's say you get to have a bishop and I get to have 3 pawns. We both have kings and that's all we have left. Which side do you want? The one with the bishop or the one with the pawns?
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you say that question again?
Sure. We both have, we're going into the end game and you have a choice. You could either have 3 pawns or a bishop. The other person gets the other. So either you could choose the team with a king and a bishop, or you could choose the side with the king and the 3 pawns. Which one would you rather have?
I would definitely go for 3 pawns.
All right. Why?
Because you cannot checkmate with just a bishop.
Amen. But now pawns are worth 1 each, right? And my bishop is worth 3, and you have 3. That's equal. How about 2 pawns versus a bishop? Which side do you want?
Still want the pawns.
Oh, okay. Okay. How about 1 pawn versus a bishop? Which side do you want?
I will go with bishop.
Oh, I was just so proud of you. I was ready to give you like all the applause. Here's the applause anyway, because you're trying. But you had it right. Why would you take the bishop against 1 pawn?
You could just sacrifice your bishop and take down the pawn.
And have a draw?
Yeah.
So, but what happens if there's a situation where you can't because, like, the bishop's the wrong color and the pawn's ready to queen?
Well, then it depends on the scenario, right?
Always depends on the scenario, but in general, you know what? I want the 1 pawn versus the bishop anyway, because the 1 pawn has the potential to become a queen or a rook, and I win. Where if the bishop, yeah, you might be able to sack it for the pawn, but you're still playing for a draw. So if anytime somebody says, I want the bishop versus even the 1 pawn, they're thinking draw. Well, I'm always thinking I want to have a chance to win. It's a draw if I give away my pawn for free. I want the win. So you were so good. Normally they say, I want the 3 pawns or the bishop. It doesn't matter. They're equal. And then when I say 2 pawns, they go, I want the bishop. It's worth more. You know, but no, you had it right. You were like, no, pawns, queen, pawns win. All right. So, and that is totally true. You should take the pawn over the bishop because you have a chance to win. So, Chess Wizard had a bishop, and I don't remember the exact circumstances, but he had a couple of pawns and a bishop against more pawns and a king. He got rid of all the pawns except for 2. He sacrificed his bishop for one of those 2 pawns because the last pawn standing was going to be a rook pawn, an A or an H pawn. So he knew his opponent did not. His opponent let him trade off that bishop for the G or whatever pawn, and therefore he ended up with only a rook pawn, and Chess Wizard just marched his king into the corner and said, draw. So he was losing, and all his opponent had to do was not let him take off his center, the pawn in the center, but he did, and so that he only had a rook pawn, and it was beautiful. And it was because he understood that the rook pawn would be a draw, so that's what he aimed for. He made it happen. Okay, how about this one? Win or draw? You could draw arrows. You can move pieces. Have fun. Just tell me if it ends up, should it be a win or a draw at the end?
Should still be a draw.
Okay, let's see whose move it is. It's white to move. So let's say I go up here. Woohoo! I'm going fast. Can you stop him?
Oh!
Can you stop him?
Actually.
Do you know how to know if you could stop him?
Yeah. White could win.
How do you know?
Because the queen, it could be promoted to queen before the king, right?
Yeah, but let's find out. So there's a thing called stop. You can. I'll let you do that. I'll let you do that, but I want to show you something else. Because what you're doing is like move, 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 and you can't do it in a game, right? You have to do it in your head in a game.
Yeah.
So in a game, a simple cheat is, watch this. I'm going to make a big square. Fair enough? Right? Four this way, four this way. I made a square. If this king can jump into that square anywhere, even here, if this king can enter that square on his move anywhere along here, if that king can enter that square, he can catch the pawn. No calculation needed. Here's the square. I just moved. It's black to move. If I can enter the square, to draw. Now you can go ahead and work it out. I'm in the square. Guess what? Am I still in the square? 3, 3. Can I get in the square? Yes, I can get in the square. Now, to even prove it, I'm going to go up here because I'm still in the square. Here. Now I'm down to 2 more squares. I can enter any of these squares. I'm in the square. And I get to enter that last square. And yes, you get the queen, but I get to take you off afterwards. Kind of neat, huh? So the pawn can't do it on its own. So you might say, oh, the king can help me get there. But guess what? The king can't stop me from getting to the corner. Therefore, we know this pawn won't get there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool beans. This is a fun one, but... no. All right. We already went over the magic position. Love the magic position. Want you to memorize it. And all you have to memorize is this configuration. Because if you can ever get to this configuration as white, you win. And as black, you want to keep this configuration from happening. You want that pawn in front of the king so you can get a draw. All right, we talked about this one. It looks like the magic position, but because it's on the rook file, it doesn't work. All right, how about here? What's the result of this game? So here you have the bishop and the pawn.
The white has to win.
White wins. Go for it. I think white goes first. Yep, white goes first. Go ahead.
First, okay.
Thinker or teacher, that's sad. What are you, 25 years wasted? Oh my gosh. You're funny.
Oh my god, wait, I gotta think this through first before I say yes or no. It could still be a draw. Possibly.
I love that you're thinking it through, Boba. That is outstanding.
I think it's possible to be a draw. Because
I like that. Yes.
Nothing's protecting. I mean, you can just keep jumping back to the darker square. I think it's a draw.
All right. You are correct. It is a draw. Very good. So again, if you are black and you had let's say there was a pawn here. And you were black and you had a bishop and your king. Well, let's say, you don't want this king to be... So let's say the king is here, pawn here, bishop here. Black can force a draw by just taking the pawn. White would take back, thinking, I win easy. No, this was the pawn you had to keep. And so now it's a draw. And again, we know that if black has a bishop and a king, his only hope is a draw. So with a pawn here and the bishop here, you just take and you force a draw. Beautiful. How about the result of this one?
It's on to wake up. I don't know. This takes time for me to wake up.
Oh, what time is it for you there?
It's 2 p.m. Like, I woke up kind of late, but it takes me like maybe a few hours or so to really wake up.
Next time we'll have to have a lesson at a more advantageous time for you. Where are you located in the general geography of the world?
New York.
New York?
Yeah, and you
I
said you're from New York, right?
Yes, I grew up in New York.
So, which part?
I grew up in Queens.
Oh, you're a Queens person. Okay, I'm in Brooklyn. So,
Nice. Brooklyn's great. I was born in Brooklyn,
ooh, nice.
raised in Queens, went to school in Manhattan.
You're traveling everywhere. All
Oh,
right.
well, yeah, everywhere that's inside of the city of New
Yeah,
York. But
in the city.
so, what do you think about this one?
For this one right now,
Yeah, it's slightly different than the other one.
position wise, yeah, that's a win because that's a win for the white because you have this secured. The queen, yeah, that's it. I mean,
Yeah, because now
it's
I
gonna be
can't move there, I can't move there, I can't move there. I gotta move here.
yeah.
Pretty
So no
easy,
matter.
right?
Oh yeah, this one's pretty easy.
So this is understanding the pawn and which, do you have the bishop that hits the rook pawn? So if I had a rook pawn over here, this one I want to give away, this one I want to keep.
Mhm.
Cool beans. You made me think of a puzzle, so let me create one if you don't mind real quick.
Go ahead.
So another nice tool, you have the analysis board you can go to and use, and you can do what we're doing in a study, but you can do it via an analysis board. It also has a board editor, and you can create whatever you want on that board. So I'm going to create the pseudo position we had, and I'm going to put this bishop here, and I'm going to put a pawn here and a pawn here, and I'm going to put a bishop over here. And this is going to be a nice, let's see, this should be black to play. And we're going to put this back in the same teaching chess study with black to play. Because you helped me make this one. See, I'm always trying to improve my tools. So now, black takes this, draws. If black doesn't take and lets the bishop get in front so that you can't stop this pawn, black's in trouble. In fact, if black doesn't take, white could just push that pawn to keep him from taking, and he's in trouble. He's got to take the pawn, give it away, and force a draw. And thanks to you, because you helped me make that. All right, this is a fun one, but nothing we're not going to spend a lot of time on any of those. These are just some mates. Rook and king we talked about, helping you get through. So these are like some basic tactics that I show to my students. But like you'd probably have no problem with basic tactics. I think you're really good at basic tactics. I don't think you'd have any trouble. More tactics. Okay. So I do think, though, that endgames are valuable because they help you understand when you could go to certain situations and how to play along. Now, there are tons of principles. Happy to work with you and teach you, right? And when you take that assessment, we'll get a feel for which principles you feel comfortable with. But there are a ton of them. So let's have a little fun. And either you could play your first game on Lee Chess against someone else. That's an option. You could play me a game right here in this other study. So if you go to the BumBobaBee, the Boba study, BumBobaBee. If you go to that study, yeah, the BumBobaBee study, we can play a game without a clock, and we could talk. I will get a feel for what other principles you need help with. So one of the things, like when we did that, are you in this study? Not here yet. So come on, go over to the other study real quick. Yeah, you only have two, so go to your studies I contribute to and find BumBobaBee again. And we could talk about some basic stuff. So when you were explaining why you thought like the knight moves were good or bad, it was interesting to me because you were thinking about attacking, right? Here I attack something, here I don't. And I didn't remember, I didn't care about the fact that you were attacking something, but that's very good because you need to identify anytime you're under attack. All right. So let's play a non-rated, non-timed game in here, and we could just talk through. If we could talk together, and I can get a better feel for where you're at. But that'll end our lesson today, and then we could do another lesson. One of the things I want to try, Boba. I don't know if you're game for it or not, but one of the things I want to try, and I'm going to find someone, either a subscriber. I give lessons normally to subscribers or to other streamers because it's right. This is a way for us to collaborate. One of the things I want to try to do is I've given a lot of lessons, given an hour and a half lesson. I go watch the person play. I'll come and visit your stream and I'll tease you. Like if I see you get to a king and pawn endgame and you don't do it right, I'm gonna be all over that, right? I'm gonna be like, what are you doing? So I try to follow you for like a week to see if you do whatever principle we've worked on. But what I've never tried, and like I said, I'm open to do it with anyone, but what I've never tried is to do 3 lessons in a row. Now, that could be one a week, right? So it doesn't have to be like every day. But 3 lessons in a row for the same person, and then see if that can appreciably improve their play, right? A little bit more concentrated versus just a one-off. Sometimes I have people come back after just one lesson and tell me, I gained 100 rating points. I'm playing so much better. I'm seeing things better. And that just does my heart good. But, mostly I want to see if I can do, because sometimes they don't, right? They just don't get it. All right, do you want white or black?
I'll play black.
You got black? All right, let's go.
Yeah.
No pressure, no clock, no rating points. This is just a training game. Hey, everyone is saying that if you did 3 lessons with me in a row, that by the 4th lesson, you'd be teaching me. Yep, they have a lot of faith in your learning ability.
Too nice.
I know. They are nice.
I mean, you're a good teacher too, but
Well, thank you.
I'm gonna be at your level. Like, you guys too nice. Sweet.
Jane said that she used to beat you when you first started playing without even trying, and now if she doesn't pay full focus, that you beat her.
It's like warming up because the last time I played was when I was in high school, and then coming back to this was just recently. So everyone's like helping me warm up to chess again.
That's outstanding.
I'm gonna protect this pawn and maybe bring out the bishop. I feel like that's my kryptonite. Every time that bishop comes, every time I see a bishop there and then the pawn there, I feel like whoever I'm playing with is gonna be really tough. I just know it.
Okay. I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh, it most definitely is. Dangerous. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. That was a good one. That was one of my favorites, Thinker Teacher. That was a good one.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm just not used to looking at the chessboard like this. Is there a way to flip this around?
Yep, you go to the 3 hamburger things on the right and you click flip board.
Hamburger? Where's the hamburger?
It's 3 horizontal lines.
Oh.
Computer programmers or people like me call it a hamburger because it looks like a bun and a slab of meat in the middle.
Flip the board. Okay, thank you.
And I think we don't have to. I think I could keep my board this way, but I'm going to keep it your way because I want everybody watching it from your point of view. Because you're the student.
Thanks. I'll go with the knight.
All right, let's do that.
I knew it. I've seen that happen so many times. So I probably shouldn't have used the knight, right? Maybe the rook's pawn 1 space up. Possibly. But moving forward, right? I should probably move the. I feel like I lost a lot of hope when people do that.
Oh, you just got to figure it out.
Hmm?
Got to figure it out. What can you do to stop it?
I feel like sometimes that's not a good move, the bishop.
Well, I can see why you might think that. I mean, sometimes it might not be. I'm just trying. Like I said, I'm not. I'm trying to see how you think and what you do and how you do it. So.
So you pawn line there. Oh my god. I'm gonna destroy something right now. Oh my god. No. I'm a greedy chess player, so I like to take the pawn.
Oh, Yasser Sarawan would love you. Yasser
Hmm?
Sarawan says, "Take the pawns."
Take the pawn.
Yasser Seirawan. He's a grandmaster. Very good one. Used to be the one. I think he was the top U.S. player for a long time.
Oh,
And
okay.
he still talked. I mean, he was commentating for the U.S. Open for the men and the women's sides, and they were like, he keeps saying, "Take the pawns," and all of the people watching are like, "I don't know, I don't know," and he's like, "Take the pawns. You gotta take the pawns when they're offered."
Yep.
So he's a big proponent of taking them pawns.
I know sometimes with
I don't know what I want to do. You're not confusing me as much as I don't know what I want to do. All right,
whoa. Dangerous there.
and you're right. It is kind of weird looking at it upside down.
Right? It is. I might have to edge just because. Okay. Oh my god. But like something like so dangerous like that, yeah, I don't want to take the pawns now. I'm gonna run away, but I can't run fast enough. Fast enough. Oh my god, a dangerous rook and a queen. Very dangerous. Yeah, maybe that's also why I didn't want to take the pawn. I was a little hesitant. It really depends on positioning. Of course, the
Okay,
knight.
find the winning move for white.
I died. Yeah, I just saw it.
Yep. All right, so let's go back though, because this is supposed to be for instructional purposes. So the first thing I will tell you, if this is a set opening that you've studied and you memorized, remember it, I don't like that. I don't like memorizing openings. But if you did, okay. But then we know it's not because right here you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't like this bishop and on and on. So I know you don't have this opening memorized. So let's go back to general principles. This move, while it's playable, it protects the attack pawn. You're moving a center pawn, which we encourage. The negative is that bishop just got stuck in the yard. I like to call these the bishop's dogs, and they want to go out and play. They want to be out here and play. So my move said, hey, bishop, go outside, and I'm going to close the gate behind you so you can stay outside and play. But you closed the gate before the dog got to go out and play. So as a general rule, I prefer that you develop the bishop first. Now you can fianchetto, right? We're not arguing that. But he could also go here. But for the optimal, remember we talked about best places for the knight? In general, the optimal place we want that bishop is out on this board. If I'm going to push this pawn one, I want him out there. So of course I don't want to do it right now, although I probably could get away with it. You know, you probably could do this and then attack the knight, and you probably can make this work. I don't know all the nuances, but you could probably make it work. But the simplest thing is just develop this knight to its best square while protecting the pawn. Again, even if you don't know the opening, the Roy Lopez, the Spanish, the Italian, all of these, and then you get into the fried liver, which is actually now the fried liver, in this situation. Now, the answer to your game is the same as what I just showed you in the fried liver. Your answer is to push this pawn.
Yeah, I saw that.
So white takes the pawn. You can take with the knight, but I don't. Well, I guess you could just take with the knight right now. It can still get scary here. You could do things like that, but can I? Yeah, see the knight's pinned, and then you get here, and then it gets really crazy, right? Because your king is pretty far out there, trying to hold on to the piece that you gained because you notice you have all of your minor, while white's going to do everything he can to win it back and have your king in a terrible position. So normally what happens is, normally in the fried liver, is that you go here, here, and black plays with two knights. And then you still do this, but now when you get this situation, black attacks the bishop. And if you go back, we take it. If you stay here, we take it. So we're trying to get rid of that bishop. Usually checks you. You say no, thank you, and you take back and you say, hey, I'm protected by my knight. Go away, and the bishop goes away to one of these squares. Not here, of course. He would just lose it. He could try this here and here, and you play on. And black is down a pawn, but supposedly because his bishops are free to go right away, his queen is free to go. This knight is not well placed if he's not able to actually attack anything. Black is fine. This is supposed to be equal. But simpler, I tell my students, is if you don't want to deal with any of that, just develop the bishop first. You can't go here without being taken off. And if he takes and sacrifices, then you take with your king and you go, I'm up a pawn for a bishop. I'll take that. And then moves like this, which work in other opening systems, because you get the fork, doesn't work because there's a bishop hanging. So you don't have to worry about that either. So as a simple rule, I'd get you to start saying, nope, I'm going to, remember, I didn't tell you, so I don't know why I'm saying remember. There are 5 goals in the opening. 5 goals in the opening phase, the first 10 to 12 moves. The very first goal, most important goal, is to develop your pieces as fast as possible. Do you know what the second goal is?
Attack them.
Do what?
Well, actually, defend the king, like castle king.
King safety. Awesome. That's goal number 4.
Goal number 4.
Number 4. Can you? So there's 3 more goals. What's the other one? Has to do with these squares.
So center positioning, like having more.
Controlling the center. Controlling the center. That's goals 4, king safety. Goal 5 is control the center. Guess what goals 2 and 3 are? You're in New York. What's the key to real estate?
The key to real estate. Have as many pieces. Well,
not chess. Real estate. If you want to buy real estate, go into real estate.
You have to have money if you want to buy things.
Definitely. But the 3 most important things in real estate: location, location, location. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So guess what the 3 most important first 3 goals are in an opening?
Well, say location.
Develop.
Positioning.
Develop.
Develop your
pawns. Pawns don't get developed, pieces get developed, but it's develop, develop, develop.
Okay.
Those are our first 3 goals of the opening. Develop, 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 king safety, control the center. That's how important development is. So if you can develop your pieces faster than your opponent, you're going to have opportunities. So even in the game we played, I have 2 pieces developed as white. You have 0 developed as black. Now, this is like questionable if this is okay to do this early. But the point of getting this in this early is the fact that I'm still, because I'm ahead 2 pieces to none, I might have an opportunity. I prefer you have 1 more piece developed, like you're ahead by 2 steps instead of 1 step. But yeah, it's all about development. So you need to develop your pieces. So here you're down a pawn. And notice that you got tired of that. You were like, get out of here, bishop, right? You wanted to get rid of him right away, but we block our bishop in. Our bishop's already in the doghouse, can't play out in the yard, but now he can't play out in the yard even more because the queen's in the way. And as you noticed, pretty soon, you did let me keep that free pawn, right? So I should have developed and not worried about castling, but I didn't. I gave you a free pawn. You didn't take it. But castling is part of development, but you'll see pretty quickly that you were like, okay, I got to move my queen because this bishop ain't playing. Now you could have shoved these pawns at me, but you want to do it smartly, right? So you said, let me move my queen. So we're moving it 2 times already, which doesn't help in development. I moved my bishop 3 times, here, here, and back here, but I got a pawn out of it, so I'm okay that I'm wasting moves. All right, so development is key. And notice your knight. You already said this is not the best square for the knight. You wanted him here. So you had a choice. This is kind of interesting because you had a choice of all 3 squares, and instead of taking the best square, you took the second best square. So again, is there anything wrong with it? No. And it keeps, if he pins, you don't care because you're going to castle. Where if he had went here and white decided to pin, if you castled, then you knew you were going to open up your king. So that's probably why you went here instead of here. But it just brings up the fact that sometimes you go to the second best square. Sometimes you go to the worst square because the position demands it. Yeah, you did great. You did fine. But mostly, right now, you're only down a pawn. Here, you kind of have it's like you have mixed feelings. So I'm going to ask you a quick question. Where should you be attacking? King side or queen side?
I should attack on your king side.
Why?
Because I'm on the queen side, right? So I don't want to move my pawns. That's one.
Okay.
And it doesn't hurt to move the pawns on the queen side because I want to break down your defense for your king.
Right, king side you mean, but yes. Okay, so one reason is, but don't always think that if I'm attacking on one side or the other that I'm attacking with pawns. Pawns are actually not the greatest attacking things. They're slow, they can't go backwards, right? They're the only benefit a pawn has is that he's not worth anything, he's worth the least. So you're always happy to threaten a minor, these are minor pieces. You're always happy to threaten a minor piece with a pawn because the pawn is worth less. Also, if the pawn gets out of the way, then this rook, hey, comes to life. So sometimes pawns are best when they give themselves away, when they sacrifice themselves to open up lines. But pieces are really what you want to attack with in general. Pieces are your strong attacking things you can do. So the way you know that you should attack on the king side is that your pawns are telling you to. So anytime in a game when you get to where you think you're nearly finished developing and you say, you know how it is, you're like, well, I want to attack something. You attacked the pawn and the bishop, which was nice. It's a double attack. The pawn is now attacked twice. But it's attacking the queen side. And your pawns are telling you need to attack on the king side. So all you did was encourage me to protect the pawn with a pawn and do what? Release the bishop. Release the kraken. So you actually encouraged me to release that bishop. Because who knows, if you had done something else like push this pawn, maybe I wouldn't do this. Or maybe you throw this pawn out before I do that so the bishop can't hit it, because maybe the next move you do this, or the next move you push it again. And the knight protects it. I don't know. But by doing what you did, you actually said, hey, there's only one way you're going to protect this pawn. Well, there's more than one way. I could do this, I could do this, I could do this or this. But probably the best way to protect that pawn is to free the bishop. And you kind of like said, please, Kate, come on, free that bishop. And you're helping me while also going off on this side when you need to be going over here. So the pawns will tell you where to attack. My pawns are telling me to attack. Even though my king is over here, even though your king is not over here, my pawns are also telling me to attack king side. So I listened to my pawns and I started an attack on the king side. And watch how it goes a little bit different. A good counterattack to a wing attack is a center attack. So I can buy that. And you have 1, 2, 3 versus 2, 3. So you're equal, right? If I take, you take, I take, you take type thing. Okay. But really, if you think about it, you don't want to play this game because your queen is the next one to take. So probably not good anyway to open that up. You could have taken and allowed me to develop my bishop. You could wait and take back with the pawn because then you don't care, right? You have a nice battery. A simple move here for you might be, remember, kings belong behind 3 unmoved pawns. So maybe getting your king into that square with 3 unmoved pawns would be nice. I think I might even have tried this and thought about this later, but it gives you opportunities to try to break open. But anyway, the point being, we're still here, and I get to attack on the king side, which my pawns are telling me to do, and then I just sort of tactically, there's nothing protecting the pawn, and I get to attack a knight. You can in turn attack my knight, but I figured I take first, and I'm happy. And I figure I'm going to keep pressing on with that idea. So you moved your knight, and you didn't have too many squares. You had here, 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 right? We go over squares, and this one is under attack. This one is going back where you started from, which sometimes is necessary. Here you're attacking the pawn, which may have been better, right? It's protected by the queen. So you can go there and attack the pawn. I don't know if that works either. This doesn't work for me. I don't like it anyway. But anyway, yeah, where you went, we back up. So we kind of undeveloped the piece. So now you have 2 pieces to develop still. And I have 2 pieces to develop. Sorry, I have 2 also. Just taking it because it was free. And then here, so look what happened. You got rid of a bishop, but because you're playing on the queen side where your pawns were not pointing, you are now under attack on your queen side, weakened here, and you lost a couple of pawns. So the rest of the game doesn't matter really. What I wanted you to know is watch your pawns, see how they're structured. This tells you where you should attack. And it tells you that because your pieces have more space. This space is carved out because of your pawns. It's a geometry thing. While over on this side, right, if we looked on the other side, on all these squares, while you might say that's white has all that space, and your pawns are blocking you from getting there, and they're also, blocking white from getting here, but they're keeping you from getting your pieces over there quickly. And you saw that because you moved your queen here to try to get over here. You moved your knight here. And really, your pieces would have more ease of movement by coming this way. Because your pawns are creating this fence line for you to play along. So in general, watch your pawns. And then think about your attacks going that way. And try to always attack. I love this because you did attack 2 things. Try to attack more things, more than one thing at a time with your moves. But that's just a starter. Thank you. You're so quiet. I know you're tired and I wore you out. And you played, you were streaming this morning.
Well, yeah, I was. I was playing a scary game again.
Ugh.
Ugh, I know. But no, this is not boring. Don't be kidding. I learned a lot. Thank you. Seriously, Tiberian.
Oh, 3x. I didn't say pawns were worthless. I just meant they're worth less. They're only worth like 1 point in general. Come on. I was saying attack with your pieces. 3x is always making sure I'm not like all my chatters make sure I'm not giving wrong information. So thank you. 3x says chess is scary. Hey, so if you guys haven't checked out BumBobaBee, she's a new I keep calling you BumBobaBee. She's a new streamer. Go check her out, guys, and give her a follow. She's brand new. I don't even think she has even 200 followers yet. So go out there. Let's go check out her. Let's see if we can find you on the stream. Go back to Twitch.
Don't like randomly put a video out there.
Good call. You know what? I will make sure that I what do you call it? I will.
Yeah,
I will make sure I mute. I will mute your the VOD. And let me mute that right away. There we go. We'll mute that VOD. All right, and we'll go to a chess VOD because these are chess guys here. Though they might want to watch you do other things. So I like it. Your title is almost always high. I will take on anyone, but will probably lose.
No, because I'm usually a casual player, but any time I lose, I reflect on my mistakes.
Yeah, well, it's a good sign because I don't know any strong player that likes losing.
Yeah, I'm seriously just a casual player. My rating, I'm not too concerned about it. I do just want to enjoy chess, and
Good.
that's why this is enjoyable.
Agreed. I hope that was a good lesson for you. It's our first one. So I'm getting to know you and see where you might need help. We gave you a few things to work on. We worked on king and pawn. We worked on let's develop our pieces, remembering the 5 goals, develop, 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 king safety, and control the center. And then I think a key for you is that those pawns are pointing you in the direction where you should mount an attack after you develop. Make sure you develop every move until you finish developing it. And finishing developing means, I mean, a real simple way to think about finishing developing means that you can castle. So once you get to the point where all your pieces are out on the board and you can castle, and let's just keep going, and let's that one there, why not? And we're gonna keep developing. And white says, I'm going to finish developing before you. Now, you don't always have to. Like in this situation on the board, white has this tactic because the knight's pinned, which is a really nice tactic right here. Because the knight is pinned, what are you going to do? If you put the question to the bishop, you take with check. You take with check. And if the pawn takes, then the bishop takes. Rook has to move. And look at that, king is wide open for what cost? Right? White has all his pawns. Black is down 1 pawn and an exposed king. And checkmates are being threatened already. So, you don't always have to follow the rule that I'm going to develop blindly. You always want to keep an eye out for tactical possibilities while you're developing. But let's just say white doesn't. And now they're both fully developed. It's symmetrical. It's kind of ridiculous, right? But they're both fully developed. And this is where I say, okay, now white should come up with a plan. Pawn, say, king side needs to come up with a plan. Figure out how to hurt black the most way possible. And so it could be just take to double up the pawns, open up the king. Like I said, it's a ridiculous position because black is already in some amount of trouble and white should take advantage of the fact that the knight is pinned and that he hasn't kicked the bishop yet. So I'm not saying this is, a position for you to study. I'm just saying that once you're fully developed, and fully developed includes the queens off the back rank, so the rooks are talking. Once you're fully developed, and this will happen in your games every once in a while, you go like, okay, I don't know what to do. I need a plan. I don't know what to do. I'm going into the middle game now, and I don't know what to do. Look at your pawns. They'll tell you where to attack. And then because they're telling me where to attack, then I can start trying to think of how can I attack there. I can move my knight closer. That might help. Move my knight towards that side. I can even move my knight here and then get it towards that side. I can maybe push pawns. I don't want to remember, I want to attack with pieces, not pawns, especially when the pawns are in front of my king. But you could be aggressive and attack sometimes by pushing pawns. All right? But when you get if you get into a game and you go like, I'm not sure what to do, take a breath and say, where are my pawns telling me to attack? And then just try to throw your pieces to that side of the board and good things will happen. Cool?
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe exploit any mistakes of the opponent, right?
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. Yes, while throughout the game you're looking for free candy your opponent gives you. You're looking for double attacks. You're looking for discovered attacks that you can do. You're looking for tactics. Can I pin pieces? Oh, he moved his queen. This silly example. He moved his queen. I can double up his pawns. And I better put a question to this before that knight comes after me to do the same thing. He could go here and you could say, you know what? I don't even, maybe you even open up, but maybe not. I don't know what I'd do right here. I'd probably attack that bishop and get rid of him. Yeah. So, you look for mistakes, definitely. Always looking for mistakes of your opponent. Always looking for mistakes of your opponent. And look for their threats. Make sure, they're not threatening you with something like way back at the beginning of this game when you go here and you say, oops, now I got to really think this out. But we're not going to do this. Hopefully, we're going to probably go into more traditional lines. Okay. Cool beans. Great start. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with you. Thank you so much for coming by and doing this with me.
Librarian, thanks for the lesson. I learned a lot already. I mean, especially the king and the fish of the pawn. That was
Yes. Yes.
me there. There.
Yes. I love King and I love Endgames, but yes. Excellent. Excellent. We will quiz you on that sometime in the future, but yes.
Got it. It's all there. It's already memorized.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Thinker Teacher. Like I said, give Babbo or Babbo or BumBobaBee, give her a follow and check her out. Her stream, not always kids friendly, but she's definitely friendly and she's nice and she will talk to chat. She does actively talk to chat, which is like one of the criteria I have for watching anybody. All right, guys, I gotta go. Sunday, got work to do. I will see you later. Oh, and BumBobaBee, I don't know if I ever shared with you this book that I wrote. So I try to remember to tell people because I'm a terrible, terrible advertiser of my own stuff. But if you like to read, if you like gnomes, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, which we got to talk about you playing for the first time ever. Yes, guys, I found someone else who's not played Dungeons and Dragons, doesn't even know what it is, and she might be willing to play her first Dungeons and Dragons game ever with us. With us. So we might do another Dungeons and Dragons, just so you guys know. All right. If that's all good, I will see you all later. This Tuesday, we have Bob Pfeiffer on, who is working on the narration for this book. So yeah, we'll get to ask a voice actor some fun questions. All right, we'll see you later. Thanks again.
Fett or Boba. You can even call me Boba Fett. That's fine.
I like Boba Fett. I like Boba Fett. I also like Ba. But anyway, bye guys. Talk to you later.
Bye guys. Have a great